This is Jeremy Wentworth-Stanley. I'm the fellow who has a hyphen in my name. The hyphen is silent, but I am anything but that. Wherever you might be in this wonderful world today of confusion and disorder, we're going to bring you a sense of order and a sense of solution. We have today, democratically speaking, wherever you may be, whatever your time of day is, we have here Sarah Benton, who's my co-host, and I am Jeremy Wentworth-Stanley. I'm the voice of Respectonomics, and I'll let you in on this to the attending public. Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning, Jeremy. Good morning, everybody.
And would you also agree it's minus however much it's minus and it's flipping freezing?
All I can agree with is it's just too cold and I don't like it.
Okay, good. Okay, now everybody knows where we are and what time of day it is and so on. Um, Respectonomics this morning is talking about exit strategies. But before we get into that, I want to bring our listeners to a new platform that we've developed, which is called Living Youth. Living Youth is what I would call a mini podcast. It's 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. The length is around 3.5, 4 minutes. And it is, as the word says, youth. It is designed for youth. And the critical point here is that a lot of young people today don't really have a compass. They don't really have a vision. They're not quite sure if they're included. They feel isolated. And there are some sociological issues that go with that that are very unpleasant. Aside from that, we believe that in the area of things like customer service, bringing youth into the mix and being able to show how to correspond, how to engage with people is critically important. So Living Youth is up and running, and it's based on little stories with a message attached to each. I think you've listened to one of them, haven't you, Sarah?
Yes.
Yeah. And I
Yes.
think your comment was that it was cute.
Yes, it was great.
Yeah, well, they're meant to be fun. They're little family stories with a message. So tune in to Living Youth. In the meantime, Living Asset, which is the one we talk about today, Living Asset is of course, the human being. And here we're talking this morning or today about exit strategies. And what's brought this to the table is this. If one makes an investment, there is a sort of a fantasy in every human being that the investment is going to be wonderful. There's going to be everything we've ever expected from it. It's going to double your money. It's going to bring you prosperity. There shall be no problems. And it's all part of the human optimism, the human sense of hope and expectation. And that's what we do. And what we're putting on the table is when you have a project, whatever it might be, one of the calling cards that goes with that investment is what is your exit strategy? Does that sound reasonable, Sarah, to be talking about
Yeah.
exit strategies? Because
hmm
most people actually, if you say exit strategies, they almost cringe because it sounds like you mean it's not going to work. And of course, it's not a question of it's not going to work. It's a question of getting into a situation where you have an intelligent, rational way of saying, if it doesn't work out for reasons that maybe we can't even anticipate, but whatever
hmm
those reasons are, we have an exit strategy.
Well, and I
So,
think it can even be I think when we say exit strategy too, like you say, that sort of elicits a certain feeling in people in terms of exiting something completely. An
yeah,
exit strategy could even be applied to the manner in which how something is structured at the current moment, and maybe it's
yeah,
exiting that thought process
yeah.
and entering into a new one.
But, but you've just opened up the subject. That's
There we
exactly the
go.
point. That this is exactly what I'm thinking. That you can have a project. So you're going to, produce a new car or something. Well, actually, a new car is a very good example. We've got, currently speaking, and I realize this is 2026 and the information might be, stale tomorrow morning, but you've got General Motors that has just written off $6 billion on their EVs, on their electric vehicles. I'm not sure that was part of their exit strategy. And if it was, it's incredibly irresponsible. So having an exit strategy is just plain good thinking. And it's a sort of like it almost brings you back, doesn't it? It gives you that sense of, okay, we know all the good news. Now let's make sure we understand what things can happen.
Right.
It's a discipline in itself. Now, I've got three areas of exit strategies. The corporate managers, business people, they can work out their exit strategies quite carefully. They can say, "Yep, if we don't have a supply chain, or if a supply chain becomes compromised, these are the exit strategies we have." They're very good at that. Want to put three different thoughts on exit strategies for us to put in the mix. And the first one is, have you ever seen a body of water that does not have an exit? The Red Sea is a particularly good example. It can't get out. And that body of water is, technically speaking, dead. It doesn't actually provide life or the opportunity for life. So when you don't have an exit strategy, we run the risk of actually becoming stagnant.
Mm.
I mean, there's the world of nature just waving its hand at us and saying, if you don't let it out, you've got a problem.
Right.
So that's one thing. I don't want to be too anatomical about it, but the human body knows very, very well that disposing of waste is one of the most critical issues of our humanity. And as you know from any medical study, anything that blocks that process leads basically to one not surviving. So
Right.
there's the exit strategy has a certain natural attribute to it. The next thing is, and this is really interesting, this one. Are you ready, Sarah, for
I am
something really
ready.
interesting? No rolling eyes. This has got to be wow, Jeremy. But we just talked about humanity and the reproductive system of humanity actually requires two genders, one of whom will need to have an exit strategy in the process of birthing or giving birth to the what's it now? I get all my words muddled up here. But there's an exit strategy by the male and subsequently an exit strategy by the woman as she delivers the baby. I mean, those
Okay.
are two exit strategies that happen. What's fascinating is each one of those exit strategies combined produces growth. It produces birth, it produces life, it brings replacement, it brings innovation, it does an incredible amount of things by allowing two exit strategies to take place. And as I say, I don't want to be anatomical about it or biological about it, but again, in the world of nature, what's fascinating is the exit strategies there are actually giving birth to something really new and really exciting and really wonderful.
Hmm.
So again, exit strategy, we talked a little bit about, the stagnant water. Well, that's one thing because the stuff couldn't get out. Now we're talking about when you do allow an exit strategy, you get this new birth, this new bloom of life, which is exciting. So exit strategies don't need to be looked at as a sort of dismal science. They can be
Right.
looked upon as something, hey, this is really exciting. And thirdly, this is more technical, more of a social moral comment, but it needs to be thought about. And that is an exit strategy allows for, let's take a pond. You want the water to go out gradually, carefully, and so on. And you don't want it building up in one area and splashing around somewhere else and taking out a bank or whatever it is. And you know something? In the corporate world, we need to think about exit strategies in terms of distribution. In other
Hmm.
words, when a company makes a lot of money selling widgets, cars, or investments, whatever it might be engaged in, it also has a responsibility to itself, to its suppliers, to its employees, to the shareholders, to ensure that there's an equitable distribution. In other words, if you start keeping all that money in one place, that is, go back to your exit strategy, it will end in tears.
Right.
It needs to be equitable. And the issue here is to understand that the exit strategy is a strategy that allows for an equitable or a uniform, a clear, you love that word clear. You've always talked about what? Clarity and
Hmm.
transparency. And you need to be able to see that that flow is happening right across the entire business model. So whether it's at at the executive level or the directors or the on the shop floor, the suppliers, the shareholders, we're all into the same game. But when you don't get equitable distribution, when one of those groups is being unfairly disadvantaged, it will eventually end in tears.
Right.
So that's where the exit strategy comes in. It's something that is, I think it gives us cause for reflection just in itself. And those three examples I've given you, all we're doing here is examining the whole concept of an exit strategy in a way that is more vibrant, more vital than just literally looking at a balance sheet or an accounting statement or a logistical algorithm and saying this, that, and the other. In other words, giving life to the exit strategy.
Hmm.
When we give life to these ideas, that's when a corporation really lives up to its name, its title, which is corporation, corpus, the body, and a body is a living entity. If you want your corporation to be a living entity, make sure you have a decent exit strategy. Do you have
Excellent.
any do you have any editorial on that?
No, I think other than what I initially said at the beginning in terms of from a context standpoint, right? Uh,
Mhm.
Sometimes an exit strategy isn't necessarily meaning that something is coming to a complete end. An exit strategy
No.
could also mean that maybe something that we have in place, there's something that's not working. So it's a matter of exiting
Yeah.
that, how that we
Mhm.
have it in its place,
Yeah.
and making adjustments, right? That's
Right.
part of an exit
Yeah.
strategy as well. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, let's make one declaration. Respectonomics is not about to exit. Our strategies may change and be moved around to the context of the markets and the social and political environment, of course, but we're here to stay. There
And on
shall be
that
no
note,
exit. Sarah, on that, I rest my case.
thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you, Sarah.